All right, so it's been about 12 hours since the Miami Hurricane spring game finished up, and I feel like I can finally talk about it without wearing the rose tinted glasses per se, because the Canes fan Coop was just so excited to see those guys take the field, and I didn't want that excitement to get in the way of my honest opinion and recap. So let's dive into some stats and also talk about what we liked, but let's not be afraid to talk about what we didn't like. What's going on, Canes fans? Let's be real. The Miami Hurricane spring game was boring, vanilla, and just all around a total disappointment. Wait a minute. Hold up a second. My bad. Wrong script. This is the 2022 spring game. My bad. What's going on, Canes fans? Let's be real. The spring game this year was actually pretty exciting, especially when you consider what went down in 2022. I think that most of us were pleased with yesterday. I think it's okay to say that. Obviously, I don't speak for everyone. In this video, we'll talk about some good things, some bad things. We'll take a look at the stats, but let's also just keep in mind that although we are nitpicking it, because, you know, as fans, that's what we do, at the end of the day, it was just a spring game. There were a lot of injuries, a ton of players that didn't see the field. There was a new offense, a new defense. There was a lot that went into the spring game this year. But either way, when you compare it to last year, night and day difference. So let's just go ahead and jump right into some unofficial stats from the spring game yesterday. Now, just keep in mind that the stats I'm putting up on this graphic image are mostly first half stats, and that's only because that was the half that was full contact. Now, minus the QBs, of course. You don't want to be hitting the QBs in the spring game, but the second half was really just thudding and light contact, so I don't want to focus too much on those stats, but I do think it's safe to say that we can all ooh and ah over that last pass from Williams to Ray, right? I mean, I'll allow it. That was just, more on that later on in the video. So offensively, taking a look at the quarterbacks first, Tyler Van Dyke went 13 of 19 for 184 yards and 1 touchdown. Jakari Brown, 5 of 11 for 55 yards. Emory Williams, 4 of 4 for 42 yards, so perfect in the first half of the game. Again, he threw the touchdown pass in the second half, but wasn't full contact, so it's not on this particular stat sheet. Running back room, Henry Parrish, 7 carries for 26 yards. Don Chaney Jr., 4 carries for 17 rushing yards and a 6-yard reception. A little underwhelming overall when it comes to the run game. I know many of you remember that 3rd and 3 that was stuffed with the handoff, I believe, to Parrish. I can't remember if it was Parrish or Chaney, but that happened early on in the first half of the game. But more on that also later on in the video. Receiver room, Restrepo, 3 catches for 69 yards. Colby Young, 3 catches for 38 yards. Jacoby George, 2 catches for 46 yards and 1 touchdown. That's really probably going to be that main starting lineup you're going to see this season. Restrepo, Young, and George on the field together at the same time a lot. Isaiah Horton also getting some reps in the first half. He had 2 catches for 41 yards. Now, we'll also take a look at some defensive stats for the game. Again, unofficial, doesn't have absolutely everything, but it's a good portion of it. Rueben Hurricane Bain with 3 sacks in the first half. I mean, what? Rueben Bain, I mean, this dude honestly just popped off in the spring game. For a young guy, just unbelievable performance. Chance Williams also had a sack. Jacob Lichtenstein with a sack as well. Cam Kinchens at that safety position with 2 tackles. Markeith Williams, 2.5 tackles. Porter Jr., 2.5 tackles and 2 pass breakups. You saw a lot of pretty good coverage, in my opinion, from the corners. There were just a few times that, TVD and especially Emory just placed the ball perfectly. It wasn't that the defense was bad. It's just a well-placed ball, and the receiver made a good play. Brian Ballum with 2 tackles. Francisco Malagoa with 4 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. And Rocky Shelton, a name that I feel like many either forgot about or just were not aware of. I'm possibly in the guilty party as well. The linebacker transfer from Duke, 4 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Now, what I do also want to do is show some more offense stats here, because I feel like I'm just going to get obliterated in the comment section if I don't do this. Now, some of these stats are from the second half of the game. Again, thudding, light contact. So, these guys are still playing. Like when you're talking about a corner on a receiver and stuff, they're still very physical. They're just not tackling and taking them down to the ground. But it's still interesting to take a look at this. Nathaniel Ray Joseph, 5 catches for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. I don't want to say too much based off of the spring game, but could that dude be the truth? Could Ray end up being that guy? We'll find out. We'll see. Tight end Riley Williams with 4 catches for 46 yards. Washington, 3 catches for 21 yards. And Ladson with 2 catches for 16 yards. We also can't forget to mention our guy, Andy Borregales, who hit a 27 and 51-yard field goal in the spring game. And I swear, that 51-yard field goal looked like it was good from 61, maybe even further. And it was just right down the middle. Borregales is going to be special this season. I can feel it. Now, before we dive into my big personal takeaways from the spring game, both good and bad, it is still just so important that I mentioned this multiple times in the video that there were a lot of first-team guys that did not play in this game for a multitude of reasons. Now, I don't want to sit here and list off every single one of them, plus give the reasons for each one of them. But if I'm looking at the list in front of me, okay? And if I'm just naming quickly some of the players that did not participate in the spring game, you've got Cohen, you've got Cooper and Nelson, all 3 of those guys on the O-line. And keeping in mind, not all these are first-team guys, but a lot of them are. So Cohen, Cooper, and Nelson on the O-line. Citizen, Leonard Taylor, Harvey, Harrison Hunt, Davis, Chase Smith, James Williams, Arroyo, Mamarelli, Flagg, McCormick, Redding, Bryant. And that's not all. The list goes on. And some of this was, just precaution. Again, you don't want to see guys get injured in the spring game. You want them to be able to continue to heal. Some of it was guys that really are just banged up and do have a pretty significant injury and, of course, just couldn't play. Some of them maybe wanted to play, but coach said, not happening, not in the spring game. So just keep that in mind. However, this is college football, so you know what that means. It's next man up, and these guys have to come out there and be ready to perform. But what I want to do is start with the bad. That way we can end with the good from the spring game. So this might be an unpopular opinion, and maybe I'm in the minority here, but just me personally, I was a little underwhelmed by the performance from the O-line in the spring game. And don't get it twisted. Obviously, like we literally just said, there are a lot of injuries on the O-line. Some big names that will be starting when the season gets here that were not able to play in the spring game. But you're going to be rotating at times during the season, and I just feel like that the D-line worked that O-line for most of the night. Now, maybe I was just expecting too much out of that unit, especially when you consider, everything that happened last year, but I just have to say that unit must succeed in the 2023 season, or Tyler Van Dyke is going to be seeing flashbacks to 2022, or he might end up getting injured again, which is something we definitely don't want to see. Overall, I also didn't feel like I saw enough separation out there by the wide receivers. Now, I understand that I am also nitpicking a little bit here with this one, but if we're going to be going vertical and tempo at times in the 2023 season, that room is going to have to bring it week in and week out. And I like the direction, and I do believe that Kevin Beard will get them right, but I'm just trying to be honest here. If we want to be great, we want to be in there with the elite, then we're going to have to see that on the field. And there were a lot of big, good plays by the receivers, but I'm just calling it how I see it. Quarterback Jakari Brown was most definitely overshadowed by Emory Williams. Now, I still believe that Brown's ceiling is very high, but he just didn't impress the way that I had hoped he would in the spring game. Brown seemed maybe just off under the lights, and I think that that's just being honest and truthful here. Now, one performance in a spring game with a new offense does not tell the entire story. That doesn't determine how you're going to perform this season. But I was really hyping up Brown, and overall what I saw, it was just okay. It was just okay. And also, I actually felt like there were many times that Tyler Van Dyke held on to the ball for too long. And I just still don't know if it's due to the fact that the receivers were not getting enough separation on the plays. I don't know if maybe some of the plays were just taking that long to develop, or maybe Tyler Van Dyke was just being a little hesitant. You know, it's the first year with this new offense. The only experience with it is from spring practice, and Tyler Van Dyke has had 3 offensive coordinators during his time here at Miami. So, you know, time will tell. But, you know, I really just realized that all of my bad negative points revolved around the offense, and I don't have any in my notes for the defense. So I don't want people to think that I just hate the offense, or that I don't think we're going to be able to score points this season. It's not that. I'm very intrigued and excited about Dawson's offense and the future of this team. It's a huge improvement. We haven't seen it in an actual live environment against an opponent, but I do think it's an improvement, definitely over Gaddis's offense. It's just, I think I'm more of an offensive guy, so I tend to try to pay more attention to that stuff because it's the side of the ball that I prefer and I like. And, you know, it's just, we all got PTSD from last year with Gaddis. I really want to see us scoring, 35 plus points per game this year. And I'm going to nitpick it. I am. It is what it is. So let's dive into the good. Speaking of, let's get into some good stuff, some positives. I think that we can all agree. No, you know what? We are all going to agree on this. Rueben Bain stole the show, period. And I don't think that anyone, I don't think any of the coaches will be able to keep him off the field for long. Young guy or not. And actually, you know what? Let's give some credit to the offense here for just a moment, because now that I think about it, you can really tell based off of some of the shots that we took at the end zone in the spring game that Dawson is definitely encouraging the quarterbacks to throw the ball deep, which, again, if you're going to scream we're going vertical, if you're going to talk about being, a fast offense that puts up a lot of points, that's going to be something that we need to actually see happen in the season. It doesn't need to just be talk. There needs to be some action in place here. And I think that Dawson did show that he's not afraid to let the quarterbacks go out there and sling it, which is a very good sign. And speaking of slinging it and talking about the receivers and the offense, Xavier Restrepo showed that he is still Mr. Reliable, Tyler Van Dyke's favorite target, a guy that he can lean on in that receiver group. I think that he takes off right where he left off last year pre-injury. And the good news is that even when Restrepo needs a breather, he's got Brashard Smith behind him. We're all pretty happy about that. I was also impressed with what I saw from linebacker Malagoa. I feel like that us Canes fans have been a little frustrated over that position for quite some time, and understandably so. But I feel like that Malagoa showed that he has the instincts and athleticism to potentially make a big impact this season. I'm very excited to watch that guy and see what type of numbers he puts up. And honestly, there's so much more that I could pack into this video. It could just go on and on and on. But what I would rather do is just continue to discuss the spring game throughout the coming weeks, because, well, there's not going to be a whole lot more college football going on after all these spring games wrap up. So we could do some live streams and some more videos, dissecting the spring game and talking more in depth. So what I would like to see is down in the comment section below, I want you guys to let me know what position group or what player stood out to you. What was good? What was bad? What was your takeaway overall from the spring game? And don't be shy, man. You know that around here we're all about just being honest and truthful, and if that means being harsh, if you want to just criticize, that's okay. You want to nitpick, you can do that. If your outlook was mostly positive and you're just hyped and excited and it's all good, it's okay. You can speak your mind down in the comment section below. That's always welcome here. But overall, if you just want a summary from me for the spring game, it's that I'm happy that we brought the energy. That's really something I wanted to see. I'm really big on body language on the sideline. And I saw, coaches coaching players up. And we hear that a lot every single season. Trust me, I understand that. But the energy level seemed to be there with the coaches. The energy was there with the players. They were hyped, excited, smiling. And that does matter. It looks like that they enjoy running this offense. The defense was flying around, having fun. And hopefully that continues into the actual season. But I liked the energy. I'm still just cautiously optimistic. I'm not coming out and drinking the Kool-Aid and making any crazy 12-0, 11-1, 10-2 predictions going into this season based off of the spring game. But if you want to do that, that's okay. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family. But at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.